Most irrelevant country right now is India. First of all, have they ever fought in a war? I feel like they don't participate in war, which is fine. I respect that. That's like unproblematic. But like, what's good with them? Do they have a king or a president? Also, does no one want their land? Why? I respect that they stay out of conflict, but like, who do they fight for? Who are their allies? I just feel like I never hear about them. Like, no natural disasters, no uprisings. They're never in the press. Where are you, India?
What in the colonialism? They don't want our land? Hello? Have you met this lady? Anyhoozles. Hindustan, which is what the Indian subcontinent was called before, was the largest economy of the ancient and medieval world from the 1st century all the way to the 17th century, controlling 1/3 to 1/4 of the entire world's wealth. It was exactly that wealth that caused the subcontinent to have one of the longest histories of invaders or colonialism, because everyone wanted what Hindustan had, which was spices, textiles, gold, food, and precious gems in abundance. In 1700, India's economy was larger than all of Western Europe's put together, making up nearly 25% of the global economy, which is why the British, I'm going to assume you know who the British are, colonized India so ruthlessly. And despite having 120 colonies at their peak, India single-handedly accounted for half of the British Empire's GDP in 1870. And no wars, you say? Hindustan has been fighting battles and wars since the 14th century BCE, but perhaps more relevant to the modern world today, India served in both World War I and World War II, but that history has been systematically erased from the history textbooks. 1.3 million Indian soldiers fought in World War I, with 74,000 people losing their lives and 64,000 more wounded. And 2.5 million Indian soldiers fought during World War II for the Allied forces. During World War I, India gifted 100 million British pounds to Britain to help fund their war, with the promise of receiving independence from the British if they helped the Brits out during World War I, and 37 lakh tons of supplies to the British, which was said to be a game changer in helping them win the war. After World War I, the New York Times wrote in 1918 that, quote, "The world must pay India in whatever India wants, for without Indian products, there would be greater difficulty in winning the war." However, as we know, India was of course denied the promise of independence. Instead, the country was rewarded with the Rowlatt Act, the Anarchical and Revolutionary Crimes Act of 1919, that effectively authorized the British government to imprison any suspected Indian person for up to 2 years without a trial. And once again, during World War II, India produced as much for the war supply as Australia, New Zealand, and South Africa combined, which various scholars argue was the possible cause for the 1943 Bengal famine, considered, quote, one of the worst disasters of 20th century South Asia, killing 3 million people in the midst of World War II. When the Delhi government sent a telegram to Churchill depicting the horrible devastation caused by the famine and the total number of deaths, his response, and I quote, "Then why hasn't Gandhi died yet?" As for the other questions, Google is free.